Hello and welcome to the North Wilkesboro Speedway. We're back with what's next. It's Indy NXT Oval here on P1. We're here for round number 7 of 12 of the inaugural Indy NXT Oval Series. The top split here tonight, 3,900 some odd on the strength of field. One of our tighter fields, as you'll see, Quentin Warman has made the show. He carries the black belt as we're watching Shane Coker have some difficulties in practice here so far. But Quentin Warman, he has an oval black belt. I'm suspecting he's Coke Series or Coke Series adjacent. We'll see if his 8570 iRating is built on for Indy NXT here tonight. Big spread from top to bottom in terms of those iRatings. We got Warman on 8570. All the way down to, I believe that'll be the number 17 machine of Matt Gland sitting on 2933. Our 17 car of 17 here. Got ourselves some familiar faces throughout the world of Indy NXT and INDYCAR. Glad to see everybody making the repeat visits out here week in and week out here in this inaugural season. We're going to hop out there with current points leader Indy Kirkwood as he takes to the track for qualifying here. Perhaps we'll get a car that's moving. We'll go out with Chris Wetz here as he rounds off turn number 4 into turn number 1. He'll head down into turn number 1. And that is a distinct feature of the North Wilkesboro Speedway, is this has an elevation change. It kind of looks like it's relatively flat from the outset, but if you get into one of these cars, you can see that run down into turn number 1. Now, this is the new scan for North Wilkesboro. They had a 1987 kind of throwback version of this in the past, but this is now the new track with all the modern signage and amenities and the new pavement. This will be one of the first times that we see North Wilkesboro in its current iteration here on the sim. You'll see the pit lane entry has been moved to the back straightaway going into turn number 3. Chris Wetz currently sitting second on the timing sheet, third now, as Warman takes the provisional pole. Onto the deer here for some short oval chaos. I'm here for some short oval chaos because I think this is going to be a track we see a lot of in future seasons of Indy NXT Oval competition. It's a fairly popular one given its appearance on the stock car scene throughout all the NASCAR stuff, playing host to the All-Star race the last couple of years. And we've got ourselves quite a number of cars that have made qualifying time here so far. And we're going to be in for hopefully what will be a very, very good race here at the North Wilkesboro Speedway. A doubleheader from North Carolina here tonight in the P1 broadcasting channel. We just got away from what looked to be a pretty close finish between Seb Alexander and Tony Pizarro from the Rockingham Speedway in the oval fixed top split. We'll be able to see if that North Carolina magic carries on to the slightly smaller, scrappier track in Wilkes County. Couple cars still yet to take time if they're going to. Looks like Kirkenbauer's finally going to take to the track. We'll hop out with him. Right on board with him for his second lap here. Current points leader for the Vote of Racing League driver. He'll take the pole with a 15,352 as it stands. We'll see if anybody's got anything for that. We will stare from the sky of the North Wilkesboro Speedway now. Nicely renovated. This, I believe it's 0.625 mile oval here in Wilkes County, North Carolina. I'm going to double check that real quick. I believe that's points. Yeah, it's listed as 0.62 in the sim. I believe it's 0.625 based off of the other things. Real quick here, I'm just going to make sure that I've got driver audio turned off. We don't need that causing issues. Get that back out of here, and we'll be ready to go here shortly for a grid rundown here in the top split. About a minute left in qualifying here tonight. Yeah, John, we're excited to see this car kind of take off and come into its own. It's nice having another open-wheel oval car with its own dedicated series. We did have an Indy Pro 2000 series that still exists at the D license, but those lack cautions and tend to be really short races, and that car's got its own set of shortcomings that make the track pool a bit more difficult. But we've got ourselves a grid, and we're going to run you through it here now. And on the pole here will be the prodigy, Indy Kirkwood, and his Votive Racing League entry points leader. He'll be on the pole with a 15.352 over Alex Krapser in the second spot in his number 4 machine. Quentin Warman, the highest I rating in the field, number 1 car, 8,570 I rating on this man. He'll line up from the 3rd spot with his black belt license in tow. Crash Neon will start from the 4th spot, the winner from, I believe, the Iowa Speedway earlier this season. He'll be in for a shot at glory here tonight. Chris Wetz will roll off 5th. Jeremy M.D. McGrory, a regular here on the top split in Indy NXT coverage so far this season. He'll roll off 6th with the 11 car. Chris Fletcher will roll off 7th alongside Dylan Wylozinski in the 8th spot. Rogue Racing's Ty Kilo will roll off 9th alongside Dustin Bolgren in the 10th spot. Matt Glann will roll off 11th at the 17 car, 17 here tonight. Rogue Racing's Brian Campbell will be 12th ahead of Jonathan Corwin in 13th. Tyler Jalbert will be 14th. Miles Morris, hailing from the World of Dirt, will be in the 15 car, starting 15th. AJ Pritchett will be 16th, the first car not to take a time here tonight. And Votive Racing League Administrator Shane Coker will take to the track in his number 14 Votive Racing League entry as our 17th and final starter. And we are going to go green here very shortly, so we'll get back to the front of this field. Pace car is off, fielding control of Kirkenbauer. We'll see 80 laps here on tap tonight. And we're off. Kirkenbauer gets the launch. Warman's going to look to the inside of Krapser going into turn number 1. We'll see if he can hold there. Looks like there's a good bit of momentum on that high side for right now. Warman's going to make it. Oh, we got a car round. Not sure a yellow's going to come out for that, but that would be, I believe, Crash Neon who went around. We'll hop back to the front of the field. Looks like he got loose off turn number 4. That is something we kind of expected coming into this race here tonight, as it was going to be very tricky on cold tires especially to get this car around the track cleanly and quickly. As Warman's moved his way into second and is going to start hunting down Kirkenbauer. He puts up the fastest lap so far on a 15.506. We'll see if he's got anything for our points leader here in oval. Kirkenbauer now with the fastest lap. We'll see if that gap will either grow or if Warman's able to start to reel him in. Likely just looking to get your feet underneath you here in the opening stages of this race. Long way to go before we'll start to see maybe tires impact runners at the front of the field. It's been the name of the game here at Indy NXT Oval competition on these shorter tracks, as the tire wear seems to play a large factor. We're watching Kirkenbauer kind of run the upper portion of the track in 1 and 2 and then diving down low in 3 and 4. He's looking to carry as much momentum through what arguably is the deeper banked corners down at the bottom of the hill and the top rolling down that bottom lane. So it's interesting to see that kind of flexibility of different lanes on different ends of the track is playing out here. We'll move over to gaps as the field has started to string out. We'll see if we can find ourselves a proper battle. Oh, yellow's out. Oh, Miles Morris is involved. We've got Matt Glenn around. I believe Brian Campbell is going to be spinning there on our screen. There's a number of cars all over the place. And we'll get back to this shortly to try to see what happened to some of these cars. I'm suspecting it started with Glenn, but we'll see. We'll ride back here quickly to try to catch where this incident started. Looks like it had to have started a bit further up the track. We see cars sideways just ahead here. That might be, it's Brian Campbell on the inside of the 12 machine of Dustin Bolgren. They make contact. There's a car outside into the wall. That's the 13 machine of Tyler Jalbert. You've got Morris up into the air near the wall there. He'll land back on the ground with no front wing. Actually, he's stuck on the wall there. Finally gets off there. You see AJ Pritchett and his Pabst Blue Ribbon machine stopped on the track, but a number of cars involved here in an incident early in the going, opening stages of this race. We'll move back to the front of the field. Fortunately for Brian Campbell, I believe he remained on the lead lap. So he'll be the last car on the lead lap, I believe. He'll get waved around the pace car at some point, I do believe. So that'll put us with 15 cars on the lead lap as it stands. No drivers needing to serve meatball flags, fortunately, after that incident. But I imagine there's a number of cars with a decent bit of damage. Saw a number of front and or rear wings falling off of those cars. Would like to shout out everybody who's tuned into our coverage here of Indy NXT Oval. If you'd like to support us monetarily, we do these broadcasts on behalf of the community. We have a GoFundMe link in the description. I believe it's also appeared in the chat so far here tonight. Or you can throw us a super chat here on YouTube if you so choose. Cameras tonight are brought to you by Whiplash. The lights are out on the pace car, so we're going to go green this time by. We saw Campbell get waved on by. He'll be on the lead lap still. Mind you, we have gaps on screen. Bolgren is a lap down, I believe. Kirkenbauer has control of the field now as the pace car pulls off. Into the restart zone. Field is green. We'll see. Single file restart here. See if Crapser takes any look at Warman. Kirkenbauer seemed to have figured out where to put his car to make it as quick as possible in that opening stint. We'll see if Warman maybe learned a thing or two and can make the move for the lead here. This is the closest we've seen him so far here tonight, as we've got a car, Miles Morris, down on the apron there, missing a tire. Might have had difficulties on the restart there. We stay green. Warman inching ever so slightly closer to Kirkenbauer now. Kirkenbauer committed to that high side in 1 and 2. 3 and 4, he runs the low lane. Looks like Warman opts to do the same. Kirkenbauer starting to stretch his legs now out to about 3, well, make it 0.4 of a second. Fastest lap of the race of 14.999. We have hit the 14-second bracket here in the going. We're going to hop a couple cars back in here in the field. We've got Jeremy M.D. McGrory in the middle of a battle between Dylan Wylozinski and Chris Wetz. Ty Keela's off the back of this train as Kirkenbauer continues to set fastest lap after fastest lap. Those tires are coming in and coming in quick. We've got a 2-wide battle here behind Wylozinski and McGrory and Wetz. Wetz is looking low. McGrory is running a little bit further down than we saw Kirkenbauer running in 1 and 2. He'll stay ahead. Kirkenbauer now out to a near 9/10 of a second lead over Warman in the second spot. Field has started to get back to single file action. Field has started to settle in to the very, very tight rhythm you have to be on these short ovals. The smaller the track, the tighter the margins become in terms of when you got to be on the gas, on the brake, steering in, Every little bit makes such a big difference because there's not that much track to make up time. So the little bit of track that you have where you're not doing full throttle is going to play a bigger factor here. So we continue to watch McGrory get worked on by Wetz. Wetz is basically falling completely behind him now. We'll hop back to, I believe that's Chris Fletcher in the back here, working on Tyler Jalbert, the two orange and black colored cars, working for the 9th and 10th spots here. Or sorry, the 8th and 9th spots. This, I believe, is the closest thing we've got on the speedway. Wetz is still working on McGrory. We'll see if he gets any closer there. But so far, this is looking pretty solid in terms of the ability to follow cars, stay close, relatively speaking. Obviously, Kirkwood in the lead has gotten now out to a 1.5 second lead. And then Crapser's about 2 seconds behind Warman. So those front two cars have something figured out over the rest of the field, relatively speaking. As we see Fletcher work on Jalbert trying to get alongside. It's not going to have quite enough momentum. There, contact with the wall for Jalbert will let Fletcher on through. He'll get up to 8th. Nick Sudik, glad to see you in the chat here tonight. We are gaming. So we'll have AJ Pritchett now working on Jalbert. We'll run through the field here in about 2 laps time once we get to the 3/8 mark of this race. Pritchett makes a little bit of contact off turn number 2. He'll look low on Jalbert now. Crash Neon's going to try to do the same. He'll think better of it and fall back into line, but move Pritchett up to the 9th spot. Jalbert down to 10th. We've seen a move between Brian Campbell and Shane Coker for the 12th spot. Or, well, at least on the timing tower. Coker running 13th in that 14 car. So we're working lap 30 now. We're going to hop back to the front of the field to run us through the field now. We've got Indy Kirkwood leading over Quentin Warman, the Pro Series license holder. We've got Alex Crapser running in the 3rd spot a bit further back. I believe there's going to be a lap car of some variety between these guys. Yeah, we've seen Shane Coker on screen ahead of Crapser here. Dylan Wylozinski, he runs 4th in that number 6 machine, just ahead of Jeremy M.D. McGrory. Chris Wetz at the back of this picture, still working on that bottom side in the 6th spot. Ty Keela has fallen a bit off of these cars now. He runs in 7th. We saw Chris Fletcher make the move on Tyler Jalbert off of turn number 4 in the 10 machine. He's up to 8th. AJ Pritchett runs 9th. Jalbert 10th. Crash Neon in 11th. Ryan Campbell, he'll be 12th. Shane Coker will be 13th. They're both 1 lap down alongside Dustin Bolgren, I believe, who is also a lap down. And we'll move back towards the Viettel with Chris Wetz and Jeremy M.D. McGrory. They're side by side repeatedly as they're getting kind of held up by, I believe, that's going to be Shane Coker at the front of this line. But then you've got Dylan Wylozinski right ahead here as McGrory's going to work to the high side now. He'll get alongside. We got Kelly Arsenault in the chat rooting on Fletcher. Chris running in the 8th spot, putting up a good show here. We've got Coker on the inside of McGrory, who's made it up to 4th, made it by a couple cars. Coker's going to get down low here. He's got really nowhere he can go. He's going to get split by the 2 lead lap cars now. Ty Keela back in the picture now. Oh, contact is made. That puts Wylozinski in the wall, and that'll be a yellow flag. And that's the danger of short track racing, is those lap cars don't really have anywhere to just give you the room, especially when you've got cars already using multiple lanes around here. It looks like Coker might have just faded high into that outside wall with Wylazinski hot in tow. We'll get a replay on that here shortly. We'll hop back to Wylazinski, who is in the pit lane. We'll see what happened to him. So we're coming off of turn number 2 here. You've got Chris Wetz on the inside, Shane Coker in the middle, 1 lap down. You'll see Wylazinski here. Coker slides up into Wylazinski, puts Wylazinski in the wall, and that's the right front tire completely missing from that car alongside the front wing, and that's going to be night done for our number 6 car here tonight in Wylazinski. We see a number of cars taking to the pit lane. That does not include Indy Kirkwood. We will update who pitted here on this midway point caution, as we'll get laps to go on the screen as we are going to cross the halfway mark here as Kirkwood rounds turn number 4. So we've got 10 lead lap cars still out there on the track. We've got the timing tower adjusted accordingly. We've got Kirkwood leading over Warman. That's Alex Krapser in the 3rd spot. Jeremy M.D. McGrory making use of that lap traffic to make it up to 4th and out of harm's way. That could have been just as well as been him getting involved as Wylazinski. Ty Keeler runs 5th ahead of Chris Fletcher in the 6th spot. Chris Wetz runs 7th. Pritchett in 8th, Neon in 9th. Tyler Jalbert runs 10th. Dustin Bolgren will be the first car 1 lap down in 11th. Brian Campbell will run 12th ahead of Shane Coker, who is also a lap down. And that's the last of our active runners here tonight, as we've gotten 4 cars out of this race. That's Wylazinski, Miles Morris, Matt Glenn, and John Corwin, who I believe might have been even on the podium last week, if I do recall. But field and control, Andy Kirkwood. We're about to head back to green flag action, a little past the halfway mark. Cars 7th on back pitted, barring Dustin Bolgren.
Green.
Kirkwood is off. You've got Bolgren out, or sorry, Kirkwood out to a sizable lead already, just under 0.4 of a second. Krapser is still decently in tow of Warman ahead. We're going to see if we can maybe find a battle deeper in the field now, as I believe A.J. Pritchett is under fire from, or sorry, that's Chris Fletcher, or Chris Wetz, rather, is hunted down. I believe that's actually a lap car ahead of him now. Yeah, I believe that's going to be the machine of Dustin Bolgren ahead of him. Double check that here shortly. Yeah, that's Dustin Bolgren ahead of Chris Wetz here. We'll see if we can hop back towards the front. Watch Ty Keela under fire from Chris Fletcher now for that 5th spot. We'll actually ride with Fletcher as he looks to hunt down Ty Keela for the 5th spot. We'll see what he sees around this 0.625 mile short oval here. That Lucky Charms car of Ty Keela well in the crosshairs of Chris Fletcher. He'll look high in turns 3 and 4 to try to carry a bit more speed, but you can see Ty Keela gets the run off the corner by being back in the throttle a little bit earlier. .30 laps to go here. We're now 5/8 of the way through this 80-lap event here tonight. This will be the end of our Tuesday night coverage here on P1, but don't worry, we've got more stuff coming on the rest of this week, and we'll get to that as I speak here. We'll stay on board with Chris Fletcher as he continues to hunt down Ty Keela. So this is it for today, but tomorrow night we'll have Mark Murphy in the booth for round 11 of Season 2 of the Horizon IndyCar Series at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll move on to Thursday night, I will have the IndyCar Pro Series qualifier second split from Portland. That'll be at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Mark Murphy will be hosting Championship Thursday for the AMA Xfinity Series at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And then Friday night, he'll have the Truck Series at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, AMA Championship Friday, both from Phoenix. Chris Wetz has made it by Fletcher for the 6th spot, and he's going to hunt down Ty Keela. I'm wondering if fresh tires have become a factor here. Wetz is one of the first cars to have taken tires. He'll look to the inside of Ty Keela into 1 and 2. See if Keela can fight on the outside. We'll hop outboard now with Wetz as he'll look low on Ty Keela and clear. Tires are going to make a difference here, seemingly. We'll see if he's able to make any more forward gains, as he's going to now be chasing down Jeremy MD McGrory about 1.2 seconds up the track. The lead that Kirkwood has now just under a second to Warman. We'll see if that gap drops as the run continues, if Warman's maybe found something on the longer run on the older tires here. We're here with Wetz. He's going to be probably the fastest car on track right now. Look at the lap times last time by. Oh, we got a yellow. It's going to be AJ Pritchett and Tyler Jalbert, I believe. Both hard into that outside wall off of turn number 2. We'll see if we can catch that real quick now. So we've got Jalbert in the wall here already. If we back this up a little further, we're going to see a number of cars heading off into... Okay, so we've got Pritchett on the inside here. We'll back it up to just off of turn number 3, or going into turn number 3, rather. So you've got Jalbert, and I believe that's going to be Chris Fletcher just ahead of him here. Yeah, that's Chris Fletcher in the 10 machine. You've got AJ Pritchett working the inside. Pritchett's going to slide up just inside of Fletcher here. And we're going to head down into turn number 1. That Pabst Blue Ribbon machine on the inside is going to get close. You've got the 10 machine coming down just a little bit. Pritchett's going to come up, and then he gets hit in the right rear tire by Jalbert, and they'll go on into the wall. And we'll see, does anybody else get collected in this? I don't believe so. It's just Jalbert and Pritchett. And that's going to be night over for those two cars. And we'll get back to green flag racing here shortly. So we'll hop back towards our leader for the entirety of this race so far, Indy Kirkwood. Lights are still on the pace car. I imagine we're going to get one more time around here. So that's going to leave 8 cars here on the lead lap, down to Chris Fletcher running in the 8th spot. Shane Coker's the first car 1 lap down. He's worked his way from 17th on the grid up to 9th. Pays to survive on these short ovals. On full display here tonight. Now, the rest of the schedule for this season we'll go through here shortly when we get back under green here for Indy Next Oval. Only another 5 races left to go on the season after this week. Kirkwood is going to launch nice and early here. Warman is going to try to keep up as best as he can. Crapser will be in 3rd. McGrory runs 4th. Wetz in 5th. Keelan in 6th. Crash Neon back up to 7th after starting deep in the field tonight. Or deeper, rather. Chris Fletcher runs in 8th. Last car on the lead lap. And we'll watch and see Chris Wetz if he can make any more progress. He's the first car on new tires, the other being crashed neon. Chris Fletcher is on the newest tires as he's now put his 5th lap on those. So we'll see if he can make up any sort of momentum here. But you've got Wetz working the inside of McGrory now for the 4th spot. Taikila making contact with that outside wall off turn number 2. Crash Neon's going to look to the inside of him. Not quite. Keela's still in control. Wetz is going to look to the inside of McGrory here. McGrory's going to get held up by Crapser on the high side. Off 1 and 2. McGrory's going to remain on the high side here. Wetz is going to continue down low. Wetz on the bottom. McGrory up high. You've got Crapser running the high lane as well. Just barely staying off that outside wall off of turn number 2 for both Crapser and McGrory. Got ourselves quite the train of cars here for 3rd through 5th. Wetz is going to make the move on the inside of McGrory here again. Not quite enough to get ahead there. McGrory's going to look to the inside of Crapser for the 3rd spot. Not quite enough. Wetz is back down on the bottom yet again. He'll have the position at the line, I believe, but McGrory's going to work the middle between Crapser and Wetz. We're 3 wide, 2 wide off the corner. They make contact off of turn 2. McGrory to the inside of Crapser for the 3rd spot. They make contact again off turn number 4. Move Wetz up to the 4th spot. Crapser making contact with the outside wall. I believe that the number 4 machine of Crapser is missing a left side pod now. That contact may have been significant enough to knock that off. We'll move back to him as he's now under fire from Ty Keela in the Rogue Racing machine. Crapser going to stay up high. Ty Keela down low. You've got Crash Neon looking to the inside now. Devastation for Crapser late in the going, inside of 10 to go as we come around for 5 laps now. You've got Fletcher having caught the back of Crapser now. That damage looking very significant for Alex Crapser here in the number 4. As we'll see Chris Fletcher look to the inside now. He'll make the pass here tonight for that 7th spot, moving Crapser down to the tail end of the lead lap. We're going to move back to McGrory and Wetz, as I think this is going to be the battle for the bottom step of the podium here. Remember, Chris Wetz is on newer tires than McGrory, but McGrory, making slight contact with the outside wall, has been out here all night working his way through the field. Is Wetz going to be able to clear him? We're coming to 2 to go. Wetz gets loose off turn number 4. White flag in the air. 1 lap to go. We'll see if Wetz can get alongside. He gets loose off turn number 2. McGrory's going to hold on to it. He'll finish 3rd here tonight, assuming nothing crazy happens, and he will. Jeremy M.D. McGrory finishes 3rd behind Quentin Warman and Indy Kirkwood here at Wilkesboro. What a finish between the 3rd and 4th place finishers. We got Ty Keela spinning off turn number 2 to end this thing. We had ourselves quite the finish here for the bottom step of the podium. We'll move to Indy Kirkwood, who I believe is doing burnouts on the front straightaway. Led all 80 laps here tonight from the pole. He's figured this car out seemingly better than anybody here, and that's why he's your current points leader here in Indy Next Oval competition. He'll keep spinning. We'll run through the finishing results here while he does so. So it will be the prodigy Indy Kirkwood winning from the pole over Quentin Warman, who's about 1 second behind him. Jeremy M.D. McGrory rounds out your podium in dramatic fashion over Chris Wetz. Ty Keela in the Rogue Racing entry will finish 5th in the number 2 car here tonight. Crash Neon worked his way back up to the 6th spot here tonight. Chris Fletcher will finish 7th here in the number 10. Alex Crapser in the 8th. He'll be the last car on the lead lap. Dustin Bolgren will finish 9th. Brian Campbell in the Rogue Racing entry will finish 10th, rounding out the top 10, 1 lap down. We've got Shane Coker, the last car out on track here tonight. He'll finish 11th as the number 14 car here tonight. Tyler Jalbert facing issues late in the going. He'll finish 12th. AJ Pritchett 13th. Dylan Wylozinski in 14th. Miles Morris 15th. Matt Glenn in 16th. And John Corwin will finish 17th and last here on the evening. We'll see who we get for podium interviews. I see Indy down there already. We'll give people a little bit of time, but we'll get some other cars on screen to give them their due here quickly. See if we can get Jeremy Empty McRory's machine back on the screen here. Couldn't have been that long ago he was out there on the track. Got Jeremy Empty McRory on the screen here. We'll give him his due. He put on quite a show to finish 3rd here tonight. Give him a moment of fame. Nick Sudik, like and subscribe. Kelly Arsenault, my first time tuning in. I'll be tuning in the future. We'll be glad to have you in the future. We've been enjoying bringing Indy Next here on P1. Want to thank everybody for tuning in to the coverage so far here tonight. We'll give Quentin Warman his time in the spotlight here momentarily. More Indy Kirkbauer fans in chat. There seems to be one here in here every week here that we've got on P1. We'll give Warman on the screen here for a little bit of TV time in his number 1 machine. Started 3rd. Made an early pass, I believe, on Alex Krapser early on in this race to make that spot up. He'll finish 2nd tonight with the SpongeBob helmet. That's a fun one. And then we'll get Indy Kirkbauer on the screen now, and we'll get him into the interview room. Indy Kirkbauer, Jacob Collins, P1 Broadcasting. You got me?
I got you.
Well, you put it on the pole yet again here tonight, led all 80 laps. You seem to have this car and I guess this track figured out pretty well. Kind of talk us through what you've learned here tonight.
Yeah, well, it's interesting with the top in 1 and 2, bottom 3 and 4. This is, again, my biggest SOF win, top Texas. But, I mean, just to hold off iRacing NASCAR Pro Series driver there in 2nd place is pretty big.
Yeah, we were seeing you use different lanes of the track on either end, and obviously holding off Warman, who does hold a Pro Series license for being in the Coke Series, is certainly no easy feat. Kind of talk us through what made you kind of figure out where to put your car on either end of the track. It seems a bit non-traditional, at least historically speaking, for this track to be running very opposing lanes around this short track here.
Yeah, I mean, it's just there's a little seam on the top, and if you hit it, it rotates you back down to the center on exit, and you can carry a lot of momentum there. Part of what I was doing is that I would hit the clutch and go full throttle on yellows to burn fuel, and it burned a lot of fuel. Just that's part of what helped me get the car lighter, because they give you 12 extra laps of fuel that you don't need, and especially with there being a lot of caution, you can help make your car a lot lighter there in that aspect. But he kept trying to work the bottom in 1 and 2, and that wasn't the way. We were really close in 3 and 4. If not, he's a little bit better than me, but me running the top in 1 and 2, as I've been in dirty air at this track before, the dirty air in 1 and 2 is worse than the dirty air in 3 and 4 for some reason, because you can get the second lane working in 3 and 4, but it's hard to get the bottom 2 lanes working in 1 and 2. So he was just stuck in that dirty air train there, which really helped me. And you know, it was a fun series, fun to finally see some multi-group racing, and you know, hopefully we can get this championship wrapped up here.
Yeah, as you mentioned, championship points leader still, and obviously winning the big show here tonight will put you in a good position to do that. You know, it was good to see multiple grooves come into play at a track like this, as I imagine this is going to be one we see quite a bit as we continue with Indy NXT Oval Series action here on iRacing. Another quality finish here for you tonight, obviously pulling out the win. If you want to thank anybody, friends, family, sponsors, floor is yours, Indy.
Yeah, my go-kart sponsors are Fremont Functional Fitness, BG Emery and Associates, The Alley and Clyde, and Make Something on YouTube. And thanks for putting on the Indy NXT broadcast.
Well, thank you, Indy, for being here, and thank you for being a good champion to the series so far. We'll see if you can wrap this thing up in 5 weeks' time when we get to Homestead, Miami for the season finale, but definitely putting out a message here, telling everyone that you've got what it takes to be the champion of Indy NXT here on the ovals. We'll catch you next time.
Yeah, you too. The series has been fun.
And that will be Indy Kirkwood, your winner here tonight. Want to thank everybody again for tuning in to our coverage of Indy NXT Oval Series action from North Wilkesboro. We will be back, I believe, an hour earlier in the evening. I want to say that it's going to start at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll be live from Worldwide Technology Raceway, Gateway as it's typically known, for round number 8 of 12 in this inaugural season of Indy NXT. We'll likewise be back with our Road Series coverage next week. I believe they'll be taking on Alton Park next week. The International without Britons, which I believe omits a chicane. That'll be next week, Monday night at a time. I want to say it's 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Yeah, that sounds right, because I believe the Indy Open Series will move to 6 p.m. next week to make up for that daylight savings time, moving us around. But once again, thanks everybody for tuning in, and to all those that allow us to do all the fun stuff we do, doing the difficult things that they do. We thank you. Have a good night, everyone, and keep going fast and having fun. We'll catch you next time.